Ladies and gentlemen, we are on episode number 3 of Summer of Alyssa and episode 108 of Downtime Podcast, and I got a special spoiler cast for you. A few weeks ago, I finished Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc. I wanted to express a few of my more spoilerish and more detailed thoughts on the game. So, here you have it. This is a spoiler cast. Warning everyone. I'm gonna talk about the game and its intro, but there's gonna be a point where if you didn't leave, it's too late. So, good luck. Mechanics that I did like were the trials and that whole gameplay. So I was a bit worried that this game was going to be a little easy because the first trial, which is the tutorial trial, was really obvious in my opinion, especially because there was that piece of evidence when Leon's name was backwards behind the dead body. I was thinking, oh, this is going to be so easy. This is going to be easy peasy, but I'm glad that this game proved me wrong. Like right off of trial 2, it got a lot harder from there. I liked in the trials the trigger shoot for making decisions in the court cases. It gets a lot harder when everything's flying at you and you have to shoot the relevant words. But, you know, it made things super spicy. Things got a little dicey. I appreciate the jump in difficulty. Truth bullets, when you have to make contradictions, I liked when you had multiple bullets to choose from because I think it just made things a lot harder and there was a challenge behind that. And God, I love the fact you can save at any point in the game because some of those trials take a while. Some of those trials take almost 2 hours. Things that needed improvement in my opinion, I just wish there was more payoff in the daily life and becoming friends with your classmates. I think one thing that truly didn't matter in the end are skills that you earned by advancing your relationship with others. I mean, like, obviously you can max out your skills to whatever before you join a trial, but it felt like it didn't really make that much of a difference. The comic book conclusion was really hard to read, and with the art style, I couldn't figure out what some of the panels were even trying to say. They were so vague. It just had a shadowy figure. Some of the images looked very muddled in the whole manga format. And just in general, like, this game kept introducing new mechanics every time there was a trial that I was going crazy when they just introduced new things. Like, for example, bullet time battle was a freaking rhythmic game, and I was like, when is this gonna end? The one where you have to shoot the bullet and you have to take something that someone says and contradict the other. Oh my god, it got difficult, and the learning curve was there was a big learning curve at the beginning of each trial. Obviously, when you get to the final trial, you're more seasoned, but that was a little bit rough. So this was my strategy going into Danganronpa. And look, I've been around the block when it comes to playing games with a visual novel aspect. So I know about a lot of the tropes. I knew some of the things I had to do for my endgame strategy. So, number one, I knew for a fact that Makoto was going to survive until the end no matter what. So I didn't really have to worry about anything. I didn't lose a trial, but if you lost, then they would just restart and you'd move on. So Makoto was going to make it to the end. I knew for a fact you had to be friends with Kyoko just solely because she's the only person in the beginning of the game that you do not know what her ultimate skill is. So right when I saw that, I was like, oh, huh. Her ultimate skill is not revealed. I wonder if you find that out in the end, and I wonder if there's an underlying mystery involving her, which, by the way, was totally true. And then I kept a relationship with Byakuya to learn more about his family and whatever Togami Corporation. Whenever you have a game like this and there's an antagonist, like there's a direct antagonist, most likely that antagonist is not the real antagonist. So I knew that Byakuya was not actually like the final mastermind. Immediately, I knew not to pursue a friendship with Celestia, Taka, and Sayaka. Number 1, anyone who dresses in a maid outfit you can't trust. Number 2, Taka taking on the role of a class president with a moral compass meant that he was going to have major issues emotionally and potentially die. And 3, Sayaka is the first person who became my friend, so I knew for a fact that she was somehow going to backstab me in the end. And you can't trust someone with a high-pitched voice like hers. You just can't. So, like, you have Byakuya, who hated me from the beginning, and then you have Sayaka, who wanted to be my friend. And you can't trust the Sayaka character, ever. You knew that you had to figure out what was going on in the game, aside from this Battle Royale setting. So, they talk about the tragedy. So, my other strategy was figuring out, alright, so behind the murders and senseless crimes of all the students, why are you trapped in Hope's Peak Academy in the first place? Why are the windows locked? There had to be a reason. Number two, like, I'm stuck with this fucking teddy bear. Like, what is the meaning behind all of this? Solve the trials, be the last person standing, profit. So that was my mentality going into the game. In regards to the plot, and just everything in presentation, these are the things that surprised me. So number 1, the game turned out a lot, like, really bloody. The art style masked a lot of the gruesome deaths and executions with pink blood until you realize the degree of how much spilled over. I mean, can you imagine if this was a horror game or if they used red to signify real blood? The bathroom murder with Sayaka was very shockingly explicit. So, it definitely, it was able to toe that line because it was pink and stylized, but it was shockingly explicit. Which leads to another surprise I had. I was surprised that Sayaka was the first death. I thought she was going to survive near the end, and she would be my ultimate betrayer. She really was my ultimate betrayer, though. She tried to get me killed. But I thought, to me, it was predictable that she was going to betray you in the finale. So I'm actually kind of happy that she died first. I mean, I didn't like her character anyway, so it worked out. And everything after Trial 2, I thought everything was straightforward, but everything after Trial 2 was a surprise. I thought, like, I'm just going to name a few things that I thought was going to happen. I thought Kyoko was a robot because of how deadpan she was, and she always made comments to Monokuma like, you did something to me. Because I swear to God, in any other JRPG, Kyoko would have been a robot just based off of her dialogue. I also had a theory. I thought we were trapped. I wasn't even sure if things were real. Like, we could have had a Shutter Island situation. There were a lot of things. Ultimately, I'm really happy that I was wrong on all of them, because I think that the story that unfolded is a lot more interesting than anything I ever thought of. And then another thing that surprised me was that 6 characters survived in the end. There was a point where I thought Makoto was gonna die in the end and Kyoko was gonna kill me or something like that. But I appreciated that there was more than one character and more than one student who made it. We're going to talk about notable moments that happened in the trial. So, just Trial 1, I liked how Sayaka was the first one off, just because I didn't connect to her character. Trial 3, I really like the setup of multiple people working together. So Hifumi and Celestia, and just the string of events that happened and how like 4 people got involved until you realize that Celestia was actually the person who I don't even remember who her real name was anymore. But, you know, she thought she was German. So Trial 4 was really sad. And I wasn't even expecting that one of the murders was going to be a suicide. That was a pusher to the story, to getting all these characters to who they become by the time you get to Trial 5 and 6. But before I talk about Trial 5 and 6, I want to talk about Trial 2 as, okay, I don't, like, if we're talking about notable trials, I don't think you can talk about Danganronpa 1 without talking about Trial 2, because this is where the game takes a full turn. This is where the story gets on its head, and a lot of things are just kind of revealed. I had no idea what direction it was going to go in, but the payout was successful for garnering my attention to completing the game, because if this trial was as easy as Trial 1, I don't know if I would have continued. So Trial 2 was the trial where I was like, all right, we're in this. Let's go. So the biggest plot twist of Trial 2 was, 1, Sakura is a girl and Chihiro is a guy, which if you see these characters, Sakura is this buff looking girl. She is a bodybuilder, but her voice sounds like a guy. I looked it up. It turns out that the voice for Sakura is actually an actress. But I swear to God, I thought she was a guy. And Chihiro, like, you didn't sense anything that he was a guy until his story got revealed. And yeah, like, it was one of the oldest stories in Japanese entertainment books. Like, Chihiro, dealing with masculinity issues and having cross-dressing and gender identity issues. It's very, very common in a lot of Japanese TV shows. By the way, when it was revealed that Toko also had a multiple personality as a serial killer, I knew that she was going to survive in the end. Whether or not that meant I killed her or someone else killed her, I just knew that she was never going to kill anyone, because that was too obvious. There are a lot of things that are predictable in this game, but that's okay. Yeah, Trial 2, I think, was my favorite trial, just because of the shock value, and I liked the twist in the end. This took me through a loop. The finale of the game is a trip. I pretty much started Trial 5, and I didn't stop playing after that. So I played for, I think, 7 straight hours, just trying to figure out what was going on. So, Trial 5, you're down to everyone. Kyoko is ghosting you. You don't know what's going on. Kyoko is being super discreet. She's not talking to anyone. And in my head, I'm just like, Kyoko, now is not time for your angsty Sherlock bullshit. I swear to God, like, I'm about to get killed. Makoto's about to get killed. So please, like, tell me something. You're my friend. So why aren't you throwing me a bone? And then on top of that, no one is talking to each other anymore. No one trusts each other. So you just know that things are about to blow up. And, like, Byakuya is making all of these snide comments about, like, how he needs to figure out the mystery by himself. Yet, he is dragging me everywhere, trying to get me to figure things out. And I'm just thinking, I think one of my favorite running jokes of this whole entire game is that Byakuya says that he knows something, and then he turns it on me every time. It's just like, you explain, Naegi, or you got it, Naegi, and Negi's gonna explain now, and I'm just like, oh my God, do you really know? Do you really know, Byakuya? So, like, before Trial 5 even starts, I'm just getting frustrated with everyone at this point. I'm like, oh my God, we're all gonna die. I don't know how this is gonna end. And then Monokuma is sending all these clues and messing with everyone's heads. And finally, you get to what the actual trial is, and the body's burned. There's a few knife wounds but you don't know exactly what's going on. And going into this trial, pretty much everyone is going at each other. Everyone's going at Kyoko because you're like, Kyoko, where are you going? Why are you running away from everyone? And then everyone's like, but Byakuya had the bomb. But then everyone is also like, Makoto doesn't have an alibi except for the fact that he woke up and this crazy woman who ends up being the burn victim was over his body. So, there's just so... Which, by the way, can I just say, is Makoto even... Is he even locking the doors of his dorm? This is... I think this was implied with the whole Sayaka thing, but he ain't locking shit. And how has he survived all of this time? And he is being so careless in this school. But anyways, at this point, I myself have completely lost it. I'm like texting my friend of the podcast, Kevin, and I'm just texting him, and I was just like, I don't know, I have live texting the whole entire time, and I don't know what the hell was going on. And I pulled some notable texts as I'm going through this trial. For example, if this dumbass hero is the mastermind, because if this dumbass hero, are you kidding me? I would not be able to live with myself if that happened. And I just go through a mental breakdown where I just, don't trust anyone anymore. And Kyoko is trying to get me to lie for her, but I'm just trying to be a good person. So, in this final section, I actually got the bad ending first, where Kyoko dies, and you get the family picture of everyone having babies with each other. And it's like a family portrait, which, by the way, was freaking hilarious. Oh my god. But a part of me is like, I can't believe that this bitch expects me to lie for her after she ran off, didn't tell me what was going on, and now she just wants me to trust her all of a sudden. Ugh. God. I mean, we been new, but I'm just trying to be the best Makoto I can be. This is pretty frustrating. So, what that leads to is, obviously, at the end of that trial, I have to choose the option where I lie for Kyoko and I'm about to die. So I get executed instead of Kyoko, but in a plot twist, it turns out that Chihiro, as the ultimate engineer, ultimate programmer, she hacked into the system. She hacked into the mainframe, guys, and she saved me. He saved me. Oh my god, we're not going to get into that. But basically, he saved me, and I didn't die. I just ended up kind of in a different section of Hope's Peak Academy where I'm in the rambles of a dumpster. And it turns out Makoto's alive, leads to the final chapter, and then all of a sudden Kyoko appears acting like, oh yeah, I knew this whole entire time. And I'm like, bitch, you gotta throw me a bone here. I am freaking out right now and I don't know what's going on. So finally you get into this whole trial and you find out that there's a 16th student. So the school opens up where you can look at all the clues now. And with the reveal of the 16th student, you find out that one of the first students who died at the beginning of the game, Junko, has a twin sister. And you find out that this whole time, the person who really died in Junko's place was her twin sister. And the real Junko is hiding inside of Monokuma. So you find out who the real Monokuma is. And I gotta admit, I did personally feel that Junko had a very quick and easy death. So this was a very good redeeming factor, or a good redeeming part. And I actually liked what I saw because it turns out she's crazy. She's a crazy bitch and she has multiple personalities and she's full of amusement and a lot of different accents and voices. I think whoever played the actress for Junko did a good job. And then upon this reveal, you also find out the true plot twist. What is the tragedy? And you find out that the tragedy is that the world and the whole society had collapsed, and you're now living in a post-apocalyptic world where despair is ruling, there's wars everywhere, and pretty much all the videos that you saw of each character's family and friends disappearing are probably more than true. And you find out that all of you have been students inside of Hope's Peak Academy for 2 whole years, but then the tragedy struck, and it turns out that Kyoko, who, by the way, her ultimate skill is being an ultimate detective, her dad was the true and real headmaster of the school, and to protect her and the school, he barricaded everyone so that they stayed safe from the tragedy. And it turns out that everyone, all 15 original students, including Makoto, they knew that. But Junko is a crazy bitch, and she killed Kyoko's dad, and she wiped everyone's memory, and she made this whole battle royale situation because she's the ultimate despair. And she made it into a TV show because apparently this is being broadcasted everywhere. So now you have all the clues, and now you just have to accuse this final, and now you just have to link everything together and bring all of your hope to execute Junko, because in one of the most heartwarming and predictable moments of the game, it turns out that Makoto is not just the ultimate lucky student, but he is the ultimate hope. And with that, the game ends, and you have Toko, Hiro, Aoi, Kyoko, Makoto, and Byakuya coming together at the door, the locked up door of the school, and they decide to enter the post-apocalyptic world together. We don't know what happens next until you play Danganronpa 2, which I'm beginning, but it doesn't matter if the world is burning as they enter, because with despair there is hope. And that is a quote that you put as a tattoo. So overall, the game ended with a bang. Very convoluted final trial all around. I'm just thankful that Hiro was not the mastermind, unless there was a very good long con to justify that. But I think that would have been the most unsatisfying ending. I liked the plot twist that Junko was the final person, because like I said earlier, her death was fast. So she just straight up died. So that was a good callback. It was a very fun introduction to the Danganronpa series. I barely touched Danganronpa 2, but the first game, very much approve. Liked it a lot. Thanks for listening to my Spoilercast review of Danganronpa. If you have any additional questions for me about that game, you can make a comment wherever we have the podcast. So YouTube, Podbean, Stitcher. You can go on our Discord, which is located at www.Downtime.Live. There is a link for that there on the side, and there's also a link in the show notes for the Discord. You can also email us at contact@Downtime.Live. Last but not least, if you listen to us through Apple Podcasts, give us a rating. Rate us 5 stars if you like the podcast, and leave a review so that we can get some visibility. Thank you for listening. All right, so tomorrow I'm going to talk about The Sims, because The Sims is almost at 20 years, and I just wanted to do a quick history lesson about the game. Have a good night.